From social media snafus to the hip flip challenge, week 6 of the federal election campaign was definitely a memorable one. Joining us for more on the moments that everyone talking is former Director of Communications for Paul Martin, Scott Reid. Yeah, this is odd. Nardwuar was in this news conference. A lot of people know who he is. Some didn't. And there he was.
Yeah, not everyone. Not a household name, I wouldn't say.
So
belly flop, the hip flip, whatever.
Paul Martin.
So he just shows up at this news conference or this announcement.
Right.
And he's Justin says
and
yes.
There we go. Well, he does. And so here's what I would say about that. Having worked on election campaigns and been on the trail with leaders, the great challenge is what happens when you get a heckler? What happens when you get an oddball like this? How do you handle it? And I think in a lot of ways, we measure candidates and leaders on the basis of how they handle the tough questions and what they do and how they react in a crisis. But we also measure them whether we like it or not, whether we believe it's proper or not. We measure them on moments like that, where we see how do they handle a curveball.
Right.
And I think actually in Justin Trudeau's case, sometimes he may have challenges in interviews, but he shines in moments like that. You could see he didn't have the slightest idea who that guy was. He's thinking, what have I got my hands on here? Am I dealing with a crazy person or not? And he kind of went with it, and I think in the end he had fun with it. People could see he was having fun with it. In many ways, that's a trick, because the trick to these situations is you have to show that you take the campaign seriously, but you don't take yourself seriously.
Yeah, good point. And he did it, because some of these things can turn into bad photo ops, but it worked out okay.
It's nice to be a little slimmer when you're being asked to do the hip flip, flop, volley, squeeze, whatever.
So tell me something, with regard to candidates getting in trouble, there's seemingly people almost every week now, and last week was no shortage of that. Tell me about the damaging part of that. I mean, people are digging back in time for these things.
And, and now people are searching through your postings on Facebook from well before you ever contemplated running for office, maybe those of relatives, friends, associates. People say, why did you pass on that article on your Facebook page? Is that what you believe? People might be saying, well, I just did it because I thought it was interesting, or maybe I did it because I was outraged and I wanted to demonstrate how absurd something was. And then there are others who they're being revealed, right? There are people that say offensive things and dumb things and horrible things, and you say, you know what, not wanted on the voyage. So I would say this, we're seeing two things occur in this election, really for the first time. We called the 2011 election the Twitter election. Well, if that's true, then this is the social blow-up election. And so we see people being revealed, and we're going through their Facebook pages, and that's a new phenomenon. And it challenges campaigns. The due diligence they do, the degree to which they dig. And it's funny, those vetting the candidates seem to be reacting slower than the other parts of the campaigns that are attacking the candidates. So the war rooms are getting the front march on those that are supposed to do the vetting.
Because they don't want their leader being blindsided with something they didn't know about in a candidate from something they said in the past.
Well, just go back to what we saw a second ago. You talk about surprises at a press conference. What do they say? Mr. Harper, we'd like to know why your candidate says X and you think it's okay that they should be carrying the party standard. So it's a legitimate issue. But there's another thing that I think is revealed by all of this, and that's the instantaneousness of social media and the instantaneousness of our intense reactions. So all of a sudden on Twitter, someone links to somebody's Facebook page. Can you believe that Bev Thompson said this in 2009? How can she be running for the party? And everybody, boom, 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 marches in, decries her, says this is horrible, she should be hanged in the town square. And then what you find is that in some cases, there's actually more to the story. One candidate last week, which I think is a sobering reminder, said, you know what? I lost my wife. I went into I had addiction issues. I went into a deep depression, and I said and did a lot of things I'm ashamed of, but I came out of the other end of that, and now I'm a better and a healthier person. And I think most people would say, okay, well, let's take a breather and give that person a second chance. These are new challenges that campaigns have to deal with. You always had lunatic candidates. You always had problems, blow-ups. But this is a slightly new phenomenon. It's going to be a challenge for the rest of this campaign. It's really going to challenge campaigns in the next election as they go through the process. So my advice, if you think about running in the next election, start cleaning up your Facebook page right now.
Yeah, I'm going to try to think of what I said in 2009.
I think you're in deep trouble, Bev. I think you're not going to make it past what they call the green light committee.
That's okay. Thanks, Scott, for coming in.